So what we're doing here is we're allowing the nutrient bath to cool down. Now normally this would take all day. Maybe not all day, but well, normally it would take at least 8 hours to cool down. With this smaller batch here, again, the reason we're making a smaller batch here is so that we can give the SCOBY a little bit more of a time to establish itself. The smaller you start off with, the easier it is going to be to grow the colonies. So what we're going to do is we're going to be adding the nutrient bath to this here once we get to the appropriate temperature. Now, we've waited a while, and the temperature currently reads 96 degrees. We're going to let this cool off about another 6 to 8 degrees, and then we're going to add it to our starter liquid here, which is roughly about 10%. It would be a good starting point. Okay, so then we're going to put it in this starter liquid. Again, it is covered. It has a filter on the top, and it is fastened down by a ring here. And we're going to let this sit. We're going to find a nice place to let it rest for roughly about a week and a half to 2 weeks. And you will start to see a SCOBY forming on top. What I'd like you to do is take a look at this one right here. And you can get a good look at what a good, nice forming SCOBY is taking place here. And what we're going to be doing is we'll be taking a sample of this. We'll actually taste it, and there's some actual other methods that we'll go over in subsequent videos that will actually talk about how we can test the pH of it, how we can use a hydrometer to test out what the alcohol and the sugar content of this are. Again, this is just a basic class just to get you started, and once we do, and once we start getting this kicked off, we'll have a nice consistent batch that will hopefully last you, or at least a SCOBY that will last you the rest of your life. And that's a wonderful thing. And again, you can cut that up, and you can actually share it with your friends. You can actually start other little SCOBYs. For example, let me just get this one right here. This one right here is another little SCOBY that I actually started in a mason jar, and I covered it up so that it wouldn't spill. Again, my hands have been washed, and I am taking the utmost precaution to make sure it's not contaminated, but you can take a look at that. And you can see that there is a baby SCOBY forming on top there. So again, you can take this liquid and apply the same principles over and over and over again to create additional SCOBYs. You can buy all of these from your local health food store, such as Whole Foods. We have a Vitamin Cottage here in Colorado. We also have a Sunflower. So you can go out, and I know the biggest and most popular brand right now is GT Dave's. We also have High Country, and there's another brand out here that I can't really remember the name of at this point, but that's irrelevant. Anyways, you just add that, and that's what this is right here. And again, you'll form a SCOBY, and just make sure it has the proper nutrient bath. So we're going to make sure that this cools down another 8 degrees, and then we'll add our nutrients. Okay, so now when we've reached the optimal temperature, what we're going to be doing is transferring this liquid into our starter bath here. Okay, so we're going to take off the filter here, remove the probe, and again, we want to use food grade glass. Some people say that they'd like to use a like plastic or food grade plastic. But you know, not too long ago, Nalgene, or those Nalgene bottles, were said to be safe. And what has come out recently in the news? Exactly. So again, this is actually when it gets going is actually it's actually used for chelation. It's used for other things. So during the chelation process, it binds to heavy metals. I would avoid using anything made of lead, anything made of metal. Glass is time-tested, mother-approved, and we're going to use glass, and that's what we recommend here. So we're just going to add this. Okay. And we're going to seal the top. And rest assured that in a few weeks, we will have a SCOBY forming on top. Alright, so that is secure. There's nothing getting in the top there. And we want to make sure we keep it out of the light. Any any ultraviolet rays may actually damage the kombucha cultures inside. So We're going to find a nice warm place for this to rest, and then after that, we can go back and check it. Again, what I also like to point out is that when you start to get a bigger SCOBY, what can happen is you can buy a bigger glass so you can produce more of a yield. Now, when you produce more of a yield, of course, you can move up to actually bottling the stuff and actually drinking it on a regular basis. Right now, we're just, again, of course, getting it started. So once this is becoming more of a mature SCOBY, we can just take this, as in this case right here, we can take that SCOBY, create a nutrient bath. Again, we'll probably use maybe, this could probably hold about 6 liters, a little bit more, but 6 would probably be about the max. And then we would add that SCOBY to here. And again, the whole process just starts again. So you can see how calculations are incredibly important. Again, those ratios are roughly between about 70 to 80 grams of sugar per liter and about 5 grams of tea per liter. So that's key. So anyways, on this bottle right here, notice that Chris has put a sticker temperature gauge on here. This is a wonderful thing because it's very cheap. It's like $1.50. It's not required for creating a starter batch, but what it does do is it does give you a good indication as to if your brew is at the right temperature, and I think it's well worth it, and it's very economical. So again, right now, and Chris has of course attached this to the bottom here because with minimal amounts of liquid, it'll be able to get an accurate reading of the temperature. So I think that's very important, and I'm very glad that he did that.
What temperature? Now we cut in. What temperature would you want it to be at when you said put it into a warm place? What's the range?
That's a fantastic question. So the range that we'd like to keep it is roughly between 78 degrees and 84 degrees Fahrenheit. Now that's the optimal temperature. These things are incredibly resilient. Again, this has been around for thousands of years, and if you believe that they had a indoor heating for that period of time, they just didn't. So of course it's gonna, when the cooler temperature is going to slow down in the fermentation process, and it's going to take longer. So take that into account. The colder the liquid, the longer it's going to take to actually ferment, and the longer it's going to take to actually produce a batch that's actually usable. Now, in future presentations, we're going to talk about more of the advanced things that we can do to ensure that our kombucha brew is ready, as far as getting a pH tester, a hydrometer, and other such things, and that will allow us to create or repeat the type of brews that we want. Additionally, I would like to also add that we just want to stick. Nice. We just want to stick with the general teas, the white, the green, and the black. And we'll get a little bit more exotic in future presentations. We'll show you how to add fruits. We'll show you how to add different things to actually increase the healing properties of this. Again, this is the final product, and this is what we love and we cherish as far as a health elixir. And thank you very much for joining us.